Gamer 1745, and we're playing some Warhammer 40k Battlesector. And I'm just checking to make sure that we are live on the interwebs. You know, that we're memeing like all the the kids out there. And yes, Arno is here first. I'm here second because I'm starting late, and it's all my fault. All right. Okay, so let's get into this. We're going to look at Army Upgrade Center. We have a bunch of upgrades we can do here. And Army, we look at Army Management. Now we are just 25 points off from our complete top end, so I don't know that we're going to be swapping the yes. And Arno is testing over on YouTube. Good, yes, that. I was trying to get another service up and going. I gotta see about getting back on streaming on Rumble and Kick as well. Because I don't know how much longer Twitch is actually going to happen. And YouTube is like, oh, we hate independent streamers. We want to be, big, massive studio again idea. Okay. We're not running Battlesectors. So we're not updating her. He's gone, but we still have stuff in this field, so we don't want to. We're not running death companies. Librarian units. And that is not right now. Not today. I want to get back to. I do have a Kick account. This is the librarian unit. We're not running any of those. And I'll tell you, I'm definitely a firepower player. So, I don't know that I'm going to run too much away out of that. So and we're in the late stages of this. Game. All Predator, Flame. This is a Michigan ally. That might be a very good thing to do because we are using him, have more features. Tornado, it's a flamer on the scout, one of the light speeder. Okay, Hell Blasters. Okay, let's go for this. A thirst that could be a good thing. Terminators again, another. Melee weapon. Sorry, I'm just sitting here thinking. Plasma more piercing. 5. Do that. Let's go back and
bring me your broken and your outworn, and I will repair them anew.
let's do this. Now, there is a new campaign which I have not played at all, and it's only out very recently. I forget exactly when it came out. Thinking about if there's enough continuing popularity here, we might try that one. Okay, so let's go with this here. Hopefully we won't get feedback.
The Xenos infest these halls like a plague of rats.
We're getting feedback.
You cannot walk without crushing the skulls of their dead beneath your feet. This Hive Tyrant is the foundation of the Xenos resistance on Balfora. It is responsible for the coordinated attacks, for the precision strikes, for the uncanny formations. We have to sever the head. Without it, the body will fragment and fall to anyone with a bolter. I remember and count every death that has brought us here. The sacrifices of my brothers will not be in vain. This infection will be purged.
It means
the tyrant dies today.
We're getting feedback, I can tell. The audio, it normally distinguishes between me and the game, but since it's somebody talking, it's not. So headphones are required because there are selection sounds that are. Voices, I know I should have checked this out beforehand. Wait, gentlemen, sorry for the delay. Always good to be so unprepared. For a live stream. I think this will do it. See if this works right. All right. We've got a big beastie to kill. So how do we want to deploy? got this guy, big guy over here. That guy ain't a joke either. Those are just cannon fodder. He's a bit dangerous. Let's leave that guy over here. I know the hero figures are just that. Heroes and are quite effective. Particularly in melee combat, but Kroganex is, obviously a primarily a repair guy for machines, and Brother Artaro, whatever, is, a medic. We want to keep them around to do their job.
Crush the enemy beneath your feet. Those of you who spill your blood today are true sons of Sanguinius, and will forever be my brothers. For Balfora, for the great angel, for the Emperor!
Hellblasters awaiting target. Moving into position.
If we move to here, do we have a better line of sight or a worse line of sight? Okay.
We can handle it. Target acquired. For the Imperium!
Base. Enemy.
Plasma fire support ready.
Okay, well, he's whittled down considerably.
We are the defenders of Baal!
They can't move anywhere, so we're going to move him up to here. Take the damage.
Hellblasters awaiting target.
Firing. Okay, well, there we go.
Fire support.
Now, do I say this? Yes, I guess I do. Near my secret mountain base, right off of Route whatever near the AM/PM. Now,
Target acquired.
there is a Warhammer 40K store. You just really can. But it's still a little bit here. 100%. And boom, that one is down. Okay, so I didn't need a coup de grace.
Your orders. Engaging the
To
enemy.
us. So we're going to be smart with our firepower.
For the Emperor. Emperor. Confirmed.
No. We're just going to get to there, I think.
Ready for recon. Got it.
Ooh.
Got it. Affirmative. Death from above.
Face the enemy.
Defensive zone set.
In every shadow I find heresy.
They will fear to tread close.
Overwatch. Tech Marine standing by.
Their death is our only option.
Bring me your broken and your outworn, and I will repair them anew.
We are getting obviously closer, but we're not really trying. Oh. Oh. Hello. Okay.
Understood.
Back to here.
I'll keep an eye out.
You come to here. You set your zone this way. Flying beasties here. They're going to come up and over and at us.
For the Emperor!
Bunch of that in it, and down and that's why we face the enemy, not just on our back. Boom.
The enemy is closed in.
Very well. A little bit of a neck back.
They test our armor.
So is the future going to be bright or grim dark?
Taking fire!
I do not know. But it's something we must contemplate. Oh, hell. These big beasties. Is he going to get close enough? It looks like. Nope, not this turn. And is this guy going to get close enough to do super bad damage? He's almost dead.
Taking hits.
Yeah.
Taking fire.
I am the sword of Sanguinius.
Okay.
Affirmative.
What the hell? Well, that's not. I was trying to shoot him. Here.
Predator crew ready.
That to see if we can lift out the armor. It did, but it also didn't kill him.
Firing.
Did. Okay.
Ranged plasma on your request.
15% to hit is not good.
On the move.
You fall back. Oh, you're not getting sorted. That's a
Firing
bit
on
better.
the enemy. Moving into position. Target acquired.
Okay. Still
We are
not dead.
inevitable.
Face the enemy. Always face the enemy. Okay. Sister Verity.
My faith is strong.
You to come up and chainsword him.
Hatred for the sinner. Purge the unclean.
Okay, that unit is down. What I do know that like this game is saying,
Always ready. Always vigilant. Heavy close support.
sometimes victory is necessary for survival. And I think what I'll call Western civilization is under threat to even existing. So, whether the future is grim, dark, or bright and shiny and glorious, I don't know. Or possibly both. Those yes. Actually, I didn't take those photos. A friend did a few months ago, like I said. There were some deer in my backyard. Oh. Yeah.
We are the walls. We are the guns. Forward. Open fire.
And yes, guys, when I say secret mountain base, I am up in the mountains.
Invicta Warsuit, ready! Laying down fire!
And there are, you know, like I say, deer walking through my backyard. And you
The
come
blood
up
of Sanguinius flows in my veins.
to your medic job.
The blood is strong. Do not falter.
Hey, Gemnuska.
My
And
duty is service.
it was last year I was standing on my out further. We'll just say that. I don't want to give away too much. And we were standing there talking, and there was this herd of deer that wandered by. And I say that way because there were several clumps of them. Oh, you know, they were. Oh, some of them were within, like, you know, 20, well, yeah, less than 20 yards or meters or whatever. You know, I'm not being very precise on distance, obviously, at the moment. So what we're going to do is set into range. And we were just talking, and they just slowly wandered around us. I mean, literally around to either side of us. Just very close.
We are the sons of Sanguinius. Opening fire.
Pretty big hit.
Battle line squad ready. Moving.
We face the enemy. Face it, so if there is a physical attack, you can respond.
On Balfora I was born, and should the Emperor will it, on Balfora I will die. I await their mistake.
Vanguard marching. Zone of denial established.
These guys are going to fly over here. Take it down by him. All right, okay. Now, you have the big beasties still. Take out. Let's see if we can take this down. You get to come up here right on his side. 3, okay, kill Tyrant of Ball, and 3 of the 5. Hit him with your axe. Didn't do it. Okay. Boom. Ooh, here we go. That's what we've got to kill. Now, we're sort of spread out, as you can well see here. We were taking on the 2 forces on our flanks.
With speed. Hellblasters awaiting target.
Who tests my conviction?
I go where I am needed. The sanguinary priesthood serves the will of the chapter.
We're going to
Plasma fire support ready.
reorient to this flank.
We can handle it.
And that we've gotten some of the fodder out of the way. No, Arno, you have that wrong. It makes it take longer. Not just seem to take longer. It takes longer.
Your orders.
Victory for the Bloodblades! Victory for
I think I got a
Skyfall!
little bit of a flat there, but yeah. It's this other tank.
There can only be victory.
What needs fixing? We'll have you back up in no time. We're the sons of Sanguinius.
No amount of carapace will save this abomination.
For the Emperor! With strength. Rolling to position. They shall not pass. Zone of denial established.
Ordered it last week. It's a radio scanner so I can listen in on radio traffic from all sorts, like truckers, boats, and airplanes and such. Well, my parents, they don't know the laws in your country, because I hear insane laws in Europe. I mean, I know people, you gradually take away people's rights. People just accept it. Oh, what was the license? Oh, a bayonet license in Denmark. In Denmark, to have bayonets, a blade, you have to have a license. Not like to carry it around the city or license to stab people with it or something like that, but just to fucking own it, you have to have a license. which, I'm all good in licensing people to have a nuclear weapon. And yet, and you think, Humor thinks people should have nuclear weapons? Not like in your home, but you have like companies who build nuclear weapons, or whatever. You have that. Or significant nuclear material. And I don't mean just like the glowy bits on old watches or something like that. I mean, maybe enough to manufacture the old glowy bits on watches, have a bunch of that kind of radioactive material. I don't know, but a certain critical mass of it. Or like some hospitals and other things that, do testing that needs radioactive stuff. Yeah, those kind of things, because you're either making a mass attack dirty bomb, or like I say, if you're building nuclear weapons for the government or whatever, you need to be licensed. Or one of the proposals, though I don't know how serious it would be, for very fast space travel was to set off a nuclear bomb behind a shielded thing on a spaceship, out in space somewhere, where it's not going to affect humans, so maybe some, company like that is going to want to have, and have a good reason to have a nuclear weapon or nuclear material. Well, it's your own fault, Arno. You Europeans, you claim to be a democracy and shout about it a lot. And we're not fascist or tyrants or whatever. Yes, you are. Maybe both, but definitely, because fascism is a democratic idea. It's a mass association. Maybe not a pluralistic democratic idea. One party rule eventually, but democratic one party rule. So I don't know, you may tell me these things are illegal in Europe. But my parents would have a police scanner that would scan several channels of police. They couldn't talk on it, because those channels for broadcasting were reserved, because in America, they do regulate frequencies through the air. There's like citizen band frequencies, the CB radio. Those are open to anybody. And then there's other more powerful bands for what they, colloquially call ham operators. Those people, to operate them on, need to pass a test. Not a hard test, and maybe you had to be able to know Morse code for that. But you could listen in on the police calls. Now, so much of the police now is doing, computers. What computers? Yeah. Of course, they have a computer in their car and they like type in a license plate or whatever. And get back that information, and that very well can be encrypted. And of course, they can encrypt their voice communications if they want to. I don't know if any departments do, but in the olden days, you would have to get on the microphone and read off the driver's license information or the license plate, and have somebody in a call center, back then, put that into their big computers to figure that out. Let's see. I'm all for having weapons for self-defense, like pistol, tasers, and such. But here, if you even beat a burglar, you will be arrested, and the fucking burglar goes free with the money you have to pay him. Yes, I know I'm anti-EU, have always been. Yeah, I know, but it's not just the EU that's pushing these anti-self-defense regulations, the idea you can't have tasers or chemical, tear gas type sprays. And you know what? I moved to and I'll say this 100% legitimately, mostly free state. You do not have to have any sort of permit, not only to own a gun, but to carry a gun. You just get to concealed carry as much as you want. They do have a concealed carry permit that you can go through in class, which I'm going to get now that I'm a resident here, which will allow you to, with certain reciprocity currently in some states, carry in other states as well. So yeah, we're just like, oh hey, oh shit, they're looking the wrong way. Nobody came for us. Okay. So there are still restrictions, and including federal restrictions. And so the gun restrictions here in this state are you can't have anything that is federally illegal. You can have everything you want, so long as it's federally legal. So if it's like a machine gun, you've got to have the federal permits for the machine gun. But
Affirmative. For the Emperor.
you need nothing more than the federal.
Your orders.
And it's not just that, and this is why I say it's mostly free. In California, they have you do a smog test for your car. Make sure you're not polluting too much out of your car. Ooh. And here, you don't have that unless, this is why I say it's mostly free, unless you are in 2 urban cities in this state. If you're in either one of those urban cities, then yes, you must have a... Now, you can drive your car that you haven't smog tested in if you live outside of the cities. You probably smells better than the PU.
Bring me your broken and your outworn, and I will repair them anew.
You, yes.
Ranged plasma on your request.
Set zone. Anything's coming behind us.
Always ready.
Take it down.
Always vigilant.
They got rid of smog testing in Ontario, Canada. There was a scam where they would fudge the numbers for you. It was just a huge cash grab. Yes, there's cash grabs. I would always go to I don't know if he remembered me because it's like every couple of years you have to go in and test, so it wasn't every year. But I definitely got recommended into one particular
close. The blood of Sanguinius flows in my veins.
This squad again. One particular small, basically is literally a single guy smog test thing shop. That's all they did. And yes, you had to have the car hooked up live to the to their central, over the internet to their central registry thing. But yeah, there's probably ways around it. That was a pass or don't pay. So yeah, if he wants his money, I have to pass. And oh, there's a bunch over there. Okay. Maybe now start reacting. Get it close enough.
I defy their existence.
Some car regulations I'm good with, but it's and I hear about in Norway, oh, I got to get my car inspected, like for annual registration or something from the government, and then not just for smog or something. It's safety and everything else. Oh, I've got to get the brakes fixed. I think he was supposed to be underground and popping up here. Yeah.
We've been intercepted.
Well, at least in the states that I have experience, there's nothing like that. But you're responsible if your car mechanically doesn't work and it hits another vehicle. If you don't, and to the point of criminal liability even. Not just financial liability. So you have serious incentives to make sure your brakes work well enough. But no government is going to inspect you to see if your car brakes work properly or whatever. We just don't have that kind of overbearing regulation.
Moving beyond range.
That's the way it should be.
I hear something.
Well, very good, Arna. Her pistol is very long range. Well, all you have to do, Jamnuska, to redress those, make it up with more lawyers, is, and it is a very fixable problem, is to say the loser in a case has to pay the lawyer's fees for the winner in the case. So it very much if you if you're the one bringing the suit, because if you're just defending yourself and you have somebody who stacks on fees, let's just say I use some music on a video or something, or too long of a clip of a movie or something, and Disney sues me, and I'm saying I'm just reviewing the song in the movie, and it may be, reviewing the song, listening to one of the Disney classics from their various princess movies, or whatever, or you can go back to Snow White or whatever, so there's music in some of those things. And if I'm sitting there, talking about the song in the movie, that you have to be able to defend it in court. But if it's fair use in America, you get to use it. I know that's not every country has fair use, but in the U.S. we have fair use. And obviously, to go after me, you have to sue me in America. You don't get to sue me in Germany because I'm not in Germany. I don't function as an entity in Germany, or the Netherlands or wherever someone may be watching me. So I don't care about Dutch law because I guess really if the Dutch really, really wanted to, like, if I ever traveled there as a tourist, could, arrest me, but I don't, function there. I don't have local business, local anything. I personally look at it more as I'm in America, and Arno, who everyone can know, is, he puts it out. Jim Newska, I drove through Phoenix and I could not believe the number of Oh God, yeah, I've been down there a few times. They're keeping the billboard industry alive for sure. Yes. But you also, LA, it's much harder to get permission to put up a billboard, because I'm not saying to what you put on the billboard. I'm saying to actually have a billboard. That's why they're not all up and down the freeways here. But the ones that are up along the LA freeways, are also heavily lawyer billboards too. I think, the city allows them much easier in Phoenix. So if Disney wants to sue me, so like I was saying, and I look at it as Arno watching America as opposed to me broadcasting, because I'm not physically broadcasting. I'm not pushing anything through the air. I'm not, I'm not like a radio station sitting on the border pushing signals into the Netherlands somehow. It's Arno is logging into an American YouTuber kind of thing, or Twitch streamer, or whatever it might be. So I don't look like I don't, in my mind. And obviously countries can make their own laws up however they want to make it up, but I don't look at like I'm doing business in other countries. They're watching an American thing, looking into America, as opposed to me broadcasting out to their other countries. At least that's how I look at it. So I worry about American law. So I have fair use. I have to. It's not fair use is something that the person who's claiming it has to be able to defend, if you will, including in court. So, how many places can, Disney sue? Well, they can have huge amounts of lawyers. But, and even if I was a, much bigger streamer, with 2 million viewers and making, a few $1 million a year, if they sue me for one of the things, and let's just say it's not so apparent that I'm reviewing their music. Well, they should be able to sue me for damages, but they could easily say, well, we had 25 lawyers and they, build X number of hours and all this massive stuff just to sue even a fairly big, but I'm talking single creator, and heavily inflate the lawyer's fees just on that end. Even if they go, oh, the damages are just $10,000 or something like that, they could say, well, but there's $200,000 versus lawyer expenses that we had to do. No, but particularly as a defendant, I think you should have to you should get all your lawyers' fees back, and any other reasonable expenses, like if I had to travel to another state or something because the venue of where the court case is, yes, my secret mountain base is in the state of Arizona, if you don't know, but beyond that I'm not going to really define it. Just that's why the exact location is secret. Again, it's off route. No. If I had to travel to another state because that's where the court case is being held, and, reasonable amount of fees, you should be able to get back. So this way, a lot of those lawyers on the billboards, they don't charge you to sue people. They are very much looking at a percentage of the win, and they will take the case only if they think they're going to win. Now, you can hire a lawyer, and they'll, anything that is, and sometimes maybe not legal, but anything that's legal, they'll do for you, even if they know it's going to lose, you just have to start paying them cash immediately. So you can always hire a lawyer, but as in cash up front. But as a percentage thing, we allow that. And you could make a law that sets fees. And that would be another way to do it, is set maximum fees for lawyers, so that, they just won you $1 million in court, but they only get $50,000, And now that still could be a good payday, or whatever it might be, if it's a lot of lawyer, if it's a reasonable billing hours. But I don't know how well that would work. But definitely, if the person who's suing automatically gets or has to pay the other person's fees in court if they lose, that would get rid of a huge amount of these lawsuits, because a lot of these lawsuits are just threats, and they because again, all those billboards, most of those cases never go to court, that all those lawyers are suing over. They are, hey, I tripped on your property, I'm going to sue you for medical damages, whether it's a scam or real. I'm not, it could be both. It could be either one, scam or real. But let's even say it's real. You tripped on your property, and then I had a bunch of medical experience, and I lost, expenses supposedly, and I lost work and all this stuff, and I'm going to sue you. They're not really suing you, because most business owners or homeowners have insurance because they have to, not depending on, some places there may be laws, but even if there isn't laws, because if they sue you and you don't have insurance, they take your house or your business away from you. But so you have insurance. So what they're really doing is suing the insurance company. So then the insurance company looks at all they're being sued at, because obviously they're big and they have full-time lawyers. Does this lawsuit look like it's going to win, as well as how much are they asking? Because they could even be sure that the lawsuit's going to lose, but defending it is going to cost $50,000 to $200,000. It would be better just to pay their $30,000 demand, because like if it's a scam, somebody just wants $30,000. Well, maybe the lawyer's getting $20,000, and the person who's running the scam is just getting $10,000. But they're going to try to run they're going to try to run as many scams as they can within a year, just to get it. So that drives up insurance costs. So the homeowner, the business owner, the driver of the car, because they have to have car insurance. I do agree. See, license, I do, obviously I agree with regulations for things on the road, because we're interacting. Like, you drive on on the right side of the road. You don't drive over a certain speed. You respect traffic lights. There's all kinds of regulations. So yeah, requiring auto insurance, because otherwise you could just get anybody who just drives any sort of wreck, who has no assets, that is just driving along and doesn't have any liability. But so if you were to make it so that you have to pay lawyers' fees, it's going to drive a huge amount of those lawyers out of business. The scammers are going to, especially in the modern day where you can have cameras in your car that can catch the scammers and whatnot. I remember seeing a video. This goes back before the good AI videos. We're gonna have before AI and after AI videos, but where you see this car, because it's from a dash cam video, and it's definitely in America, not just all the crazy Russian ones. But you see this car get in front of and pull in front of another car, and then drive for a little bit, and then sort of slam on their brakes. And the car behind them stops in time, so they actually put it into reverse into you. And then you see all the people getting out of the car rubbing their necks. There's like at least 4 of them, but maybe even more. They're all rubbing their necks. And then you see one eventually, and this is in moments, eventually sort of point at, and you can't tell what they're saying, but point at and turn around, definitely saying something to the rest. And the driver then, at that moment, disappears. He just takes off and gets in another car that was in front of them. So there's 2 cars in this scam, and disappears because they realize that there's a dash cam camera, and they've had to reverse into this car to make the accident happen. Just stopping in front of them wasn't enough. And he's the one driving, so he's definitely criminally liable, leaving the other people in this scam just standing around because this other guy jumps in the car and they disappear. I don't know if they get the other car's license plate in the camera, but probably they do. But who knows, about that. So you would get rid of all of these scam things because the insurance companies would know that if they win, they'll get their lawyers' fees back. And whatnot. So, and the legal companies, and I say this, could say lawyers' firms, but some of these are big mass companies that are doing these things, will realize that there isn't going to be so many settlements. There isn't going to be so many lawsuits that they're going to just win. And so they would, very much in my opinion, not accept all these frivolous lawsuits. Okay, he's down. So that would solve a lot of the lawyer problems, and which would reduce healthcare costs because doctors have to have malpractice, and I want them to have malpractice. Okay, how bad is he damaged? Pretty bad, but we'll just go a little bit further to give your big hit, and then fly over everybody and get back here. And because there is, whether it's, you say malpractice, whether it's an incompetent doctor or just something that goes wrong in their treatment of you, we're mostly talking surgeries here, but in their treatment of you, yeah, there should be a certain amount of liability, to take care of and, compensate the person, because doctoring is a business here. So, yeah, I agree with needing medical malpractice, being able to sue them. But it needs to be not just, hey, Arno, what are you're sitting on your keyboard or something? Okay, I liked Arizona, but I'm not sure I could survive the summer there, though. Mountain biking was fantastic there. Now, we know it's a secret mountain base, and I am up in the mountains. So, yes, my cousin, I will say the city, because you don't know who he is, and we'll never be able to figure that out, lives in Yuma, and it's god-awful hot there. In Phoenix, Tucson, Yuma, those cities are down near sea level, and they're god-awful hot in summer. You go up in the mountains, I'm fairly high up in the mountains, the summers are warm, or hot, I would call hot from living on the coast in California, but they're not Arizona hot or whatever. They're, hot like it would get in maybe, maybe not even as bad. They're hot like there would be in Colorado if you lived in, Boulder, Colorado, which and just because I know it's called the Mile High City. It's up near my altitude. So it would be like living in Boulder, Colorado or something during the summer. Or maybe a teeny bit hotter, but not much. So yeah, it can be hot in the sun, particularly here, but not what you experienced. No problem, Arno. You don't have to worry about it. Just letting you know. In BC, you can't sue anyone for car accidents. They just have a set value. Lawyers are pissed. They're leaving for other provinces now. Yeah. I do believe in the ability to sue over car accidents. I believe in it. It's just like I say, you should have to, if you lose, you should have to pay the other person's fees. And so, if you're the one suing. So this would make it because I'm enough of American that I believe in suing. So it's not like I'm going to, hunt down and physically harm somebody who does me an injury, whether it's a physical injury or steals my content because of some, videos I put up on YouTube. And instead of hunting them down and doing physical harm to them, I would sue them. Say, you stole my content. You're costing me money. Here it is, So, get me money or a cease and desist that has legal, binding to it. So I believe in that. But again, it's just, the way to compensate is to go, yeah, you don't get to do it on speculation with no, with no return, because there are sometimes very egregious, that's what you hear about, cases in which people who have, you got to get a law degree and then you pass the bar here in a particular state, because you're only licensed to practice in states that you pass the bar. You can help somebody else in another state, who has passed the bar. So meaning if I, God forbid, was a lawyer in like California and had passed the bar there, and I wanted to be part of a lawsuit, say in Nevada, I'd have to have a local lawyer be part of the team. I could be on that as sort of an advisor and be sitting next to the required lawyer, in court and whatnot. But you have to have at least one local or person. Now you can pass the bar in multiple states. If you really either do change of life. Oh hey, yeah, laws change in this state. I'm out of here. But you still could be legally allowed to practice there and then pass the bar in another state. Or if you do enough multi-state things, you can pass the bar in several states. That kind of thing, if you're that type of lawyer. So, that's how you reform the whole thing. By the way, my scanner does great. It's already heard about an accident a trucker just had. Well, cool. And so those are the kind of things with the police scanners my parents would. One tile closer. To fall back. Fall back.
Plasma fire support ready.
Move up one more.
Target acquired.
Yes, Gamer has solutions for everything in the world. No, I don't, and I know I don't. And everything has its trade-offs. Oh, out of range. Okay, come up. You're big, bad, and able to deal with things. And you missed. Okay, come back here. Face the enemy.
Battle line squad ready.
That way. You're going to set your zone that way. Just going to face enemies, face the enemies, face the enemies.
Heavy armor awaiting your orders.
Face the enemy. And the 40k future weapons have incredibly short ranges. Well, yeah. And I can tell you exactly why. It's a tabletop war game that they wanted to be able to play on a limited tabletop. Because my understanding of this world, there is you're in something of a technological regression, I believe, that has happened, and
on Balfora, I will die.
but there is, I mean, they have high-tech stuff, but there is, like I say, a bit of a technological regression, as far as I understand, that sometimes they come across ancient machinery that is higher tech.
Order confirmed. Zone of denial established.
Okay, so these guys are going to cover things coming this way, that way. The screens would defeat them for sure. Yeah.
No machine spirit protects you, cursed abomination.
You know, especially back in the 90s, they used to make cartoons that were really just vehicles to sell toys to kids. So that, you know, that's, you know, so it was, think of a good toy brand, and then let's make a cartoon. As opposed to, oh, we have a great cartoon here. Man, this is popular. Let's see if we can sell toys. Because, you know, we want to make profit. Well, I very much think Warhammer is, we want to have a tabletop war game. Let's make a game that we can play on the tabletop. And then let's come up with lore around it. As opposed to going, oh, hey, we are we're trying to do a World War II war game or a Napoleonic war game, and how to best make it. So it's the old, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? The lore or the game. They wanted to make the game first.
Is that all?
Have you tried the Menace demo? You would probably like it.
I've had worse.
I don't know what that is. Okay, we've got a lot of Enemies up there.
We are taking fire.
We do battle brothers. It's mercenaries in the future. Give the demo a try tactical level. Okay. Out of range ability. Okay, so that's too far away.
Storm Raven en route.
Oh no, it isn't. Okay. Okay, that. Well, just nicked a few of them there. Might have been better to do it. Okay, we have over here this flank. So let's see what we can do. Can you take them down? No, but you can hit them very, very hard.
On my way.
Come over to the flank so that we won't get retaliatory strikes. Is that guy is a potential danger, but we're going to. Well, I was going to say take him down, but obviously not. These guys are pretty tough.
Crush the enemies of the Imperium.
Because I'm worried about him coming up and attacking here. So we're going to face the enemy. You. Here. That way. Oh, I totally missed this guy even being here. He's just like cannon on him.
Suffer not the Xenos to exist.
Main gun. These guys. Here. Back. He's gonna stay there. I don't think so. Sometimes you might leave him there just to be a absorber of enemy damage.
We fight and we die for the Imperium. Affirmative.
Chicken or the egg, you say. Well, I have to say, the rooster. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Engaging
This guy can still be deadly, even almost dead, so. That's very clever if you came up with it, Arno. Very clever indeed. If you came up with it. Get up to here. Very badly damaged. Dude is over there, so.
Plasma fire support ready.
I'd rather fully take down one guy than...
We can handle it.
Hello, Ryder M. Peak lineup, well, it's about that.
When the day is darkest, we prevail through control.
There. I'll back even.
They will
Overwatch
fear
there.
to tread close.
As you can see, I'm very much of a firepower player. So I'm gonna, it's not that I don't want to engage these guys, it's not that I'm running away. I'm absolutely not. What I am doing is
I am the Imperium's shield.
trying to keep distance. And use distance to
Battle line squad ready.
engage with my firepower.
Rolling to position.
And hoping my range is greater than theirs in many cases. It could. I mean, I know it's not going to kill them or anything, but might as well get a few shots in. Sister Verite sounded like the tech priest builder in the Imperial Guard of Dawn of War. Well, don't know Dawn of War, so. Could be the same voice actor. I don't know. Very good. He went after a very heavily armed or armored target. Heard of Dawn of War. I mean, I haven't played it, so I don't know that. Well, that's the guy we're supposed to tyrant a ball. That's the guy we're supposed to kill. I think we may be able to take him down next turn. Because he came in basically alone right into my firepower zone here.
Taking fire.
I think it's the Necrons that have fairly long-range weapons for this game. Though my keeping the distance on those guys doesn't work out as well. I don't know if they killed him.
More targets are coming. Potential targets detected.
Okay, well. He did turn to face the enemy, which is smart, or some of these enemies that I think will be his undoing. Get it better than 60%, 70%. That's wow, he's almost gone.
Yet to meet a Xenos my axe couldn't bisect.
Very well. Oh, I guess I should actually use this guy here. come in from the rear. Let's do that. Boom.
We'll have you back up in no time.
We did lose our scout vehicle, which is not ideal.
I will not fail.
Get these guys down. Hey, you get to retreat. Not that they're going to get through the units that are in front of you, but still turn and
My
face
faith
the enemy.
is strong.
For the Emperor. Engaging the enemy.
Okay. Almost dead,
Moving
but
into
not
position.
fully dead. So they're still dangerous. Okay, turn it on.
We can handle it.
Where's it?
Engaging the enemy. Moving.
Of course.
For the Emperor.
I go where I am needed.
There and
Ranged plasma on your request.
doing totally take out that unit. There's 3 of them there. And fall back.
Defensive zone set.
Okay, thanks, Gemnuska, for hanging out with us. Have a good day.
Their death is our only option.
That way.
We are the defenders of Baal. Firing.
Oh. That got it? Wow. That was faster than I thought. I was going to have to kill all the rest of them here. Cool. We only lost 1 unit. Tyranids are terrified of Necrons.
The core of their network is dead. Call your blood. Savor this victory.
I I have to attend the Dreadnought. Inkaria will have my liver if we lose the machine spirit down here.
Go, brother. Tend to his body. Brother Quindar's sacrifice should be venerated and recounted with pride within our chapter.
I expect I will get to walk away just as easily, Lieutenant. Even after all that I have witnessed.
You understand nothing of what you saw.
At ease, brother. Sister Verity has a right to question. We wrestle with our curse every day. It is a testament to the sister's strength that she did not turn on us when faced with our chapter's darkest shadow.
Answer me truthfully, Carlion. Did you know the Psycho was falling when you brought us here? Were it not for the tyrant's talons, he may have jeopardized us all. Did you know? When I talk with Canoness Martilia, I will have to confess all to her. She will learn of your rogue librarian and the knife's edge you made
I
us
trust you will
walk.
tell her everything you need to, sister. The Emperor already judges our every decision. Should he find mine wanting, my life is his to spend. With time, the contradictions fade. Balfora continues to turn. Her people will slowly come back and begin to rebuild their lives. I am no longer needed here. My ghosts are at rest. There is already new work for us. The Primaris have proved the strength of their blood. Dante is eager to use them to cleanse the Red Scar. Baal is but one of thousands that we will wrest back from Leviathan. Our sword arms may tire, but our spirits cannot, so long as enemies of the Imperium remain. For we are the angels of death, and we are always prepared for war.
Imperial Rider M says Imperial Guard is a very strong faction in Dawn of War unification mod. Well, cool. Now that is a cool image. Definitely with Warhammer, its visuals are extremely excellent. Extremely. I think this is something that liberal society has either forgotten or doesn't take into account. This is where Gamer's getting on his soapbox for a minute here, people. You know, I think to a point, you know, we talk about freedom of speech. Well, even the quote-unquote absolutionists, or people that absolutely defend freedom of speech, even they set limits on it. In the sense that my speech isn't like calling for somebody's death, to be murdered. Not just, I wish they would die, but calling for their death and like putting out a reward or advocate, you can't go, hey guys, just hypothetically speaking, just in Minecraft, we all show up at the 7-Eleven at a particular location at a particular time. And, if we're all there, how could they stop us from stealing everything in the store? Okay. oh, but you said it's in Minecraft and it's hypothetically and it's whatever. You put in these, Weasley words. Because sometimes I may, talk about something hypothetically, it happens in real life, yes. But I'm talking about doing all this stuff. Basically trying to put in Weasley words in there to then plan a, sort of a mass robbery or however what's the term I'm looking for? I'm forgetting right now. And, all show up. And so you're in essence planning a crime. That, I think even the most absolutist, because I'm putting a time and a place and whatnot, at least, even if I was being sort of cryptic about the time or the place, but something that we could demonstrate that whoever the audience is would understand, the somewhat cryptic message and all show up and do the crime. So we all agree, and again, even the free speech absolutists would agree that there is, criminal speech. Now, in America, you have complete freedom of speech unless what you're trying to organize or call for or, push for is an actual crime, in and of itself. And, of course, we do have libel laws, that if you're saying stuff that are provably untrue, that are harmful to others, you can, be, at least civilly and possibly criminally, depends on what you're talking about, gone after. So, yeah, freedom of speech. And so in the liberal societies, and we can talk about how Europe is definitely going away from freedom of speech, but there is sort of the idea that we should be able to tolerate ideas and views that are not ours, and that for ours to be thought of as good or the best or whatever, we must be able to defend, verbally or in writing or whatever, our ideas. So we have tolerance for radically different ideas. But what it doesn't take into account, and people talk about, well, freedom of speech, you can't keep a teacher from saying something. Bullshit. Freedom of speech, whether on the job or off the job, and this is where I think about 90% or more of the teachers teaching in America, and probably most of across the Western world, should be immediately fired. And of course, some should be criminally prosecuted, but that's more thing, but should be fired, is because we don't have to pay someone who is teaching our youth, who holds views, either in the classroom or on personal views, that we find detrimental to our society. So they have the right to say it, but they don't have a right to be a teacher if they say these things, whatever these things may be, whether it's neo-Nazi or communist, it's whatever parts of the political spectrum you may be, we have the right to fire your ass and get rid of you. And that would take care of a lot of stuff if we just did that, because, we don't have to accept this kind of thing. But we have allowed organizations that, to my opinion, if not actual, border on being an insurgency to overthrow society. I was going to say the government, but literally overthrow society. and they're insurgencies. And some of their weapons are words, okay? And this is, we still have a problem with organized crime in America. The mob, now, organized crime, the mob, and of course, when you say that sort of in the American context, you immediately start thinking of Italians. But whether they're Italians, Russians, Chinese triads, or Japanese yakuzas, or whatever it may be, I definitely want civil rights for criminals. Definitely. But like we have designated, I'm going to try to say it once, and we'll go to the initials. Trende de Awagra, or whatever. My Spanish is not very good. TDA. We've designated that as a terrorist organization. I would put some of the the traditional mobs, like the Italian mobs, in an idea of because they use intimidation to collect protection money, payments. Well, collecting protection money, that's taking over a function of government. So as soon as we can determine an organization that is threatening businesses or individuals, just your house. Hey, your house, you want our special fire brigade or protection to keep firebugs from lighting your house on fire? You might want to kick over some money. Once we start seeing any sort of organization that is requesting protection money, to me that is taking over a function of government. So it is trying to be an insurgency. That then I think you should be able to, and I don't know why we couldn't, either through state law, through state governments or federal governments, pass a law that calls this organization an insurgency. And then you ban the organization and you make it criminal to just be a member of the organization. So then you don't have to prove that Sam Smith did anything, did a crime. No, his crime is just being, if we can prove that he's a member of the organization. And that would get rid of it. So you still have the criminal trial elements in that you have to prove that, and by the time, once you determine that some organization is an insurgency, then your civil protections disappear in the sense of your constitutional rights. In that, we have the I think part of the first, they can't search our letters, the idea, and that was one, and boy, I should be better in the Constitution. The idea that, you can't just like open letters and read them, and this sort of, they've sort of pushed in the right to privacy over abortion issues. But the idea that private communications, you have to get a search warrant, or you have to get a warrant to put in a wiretap or to put a listening device in a location, say. Well, no. Once you've determined an organization is an insurgency, then all means for surveillance comes open in determining if you're a member of the organization. Now, so that means that if you put in a listening device somewhere, you would need to build firewalls in, who's listening to the listening device, so that if two people are discussing a crime or just other private chatter, even not necessarily criminal, but could be advantageous for a congressperson if they or a government person to find out, oh, two people are discussing something that's going to raise or lower a stock price. So you got to wall away who's listening to these devices, and so that it can't be used. Oh, and things like searches and other things. Right? Because there is a case where there was a serial killer in America, and his car gets searched, and they find a murder kit in the car. And then they do enough looking around, and they find that he was the serial killer. Well, he gets off. No prison time, because the original search was unlawful. And so he goes back to, being a serial killer and whatnot, and kills more people. So people die. But that is over the principle of, we don't want the police just to be able to randomly pull you over and search you. There has to be probable cause, or there has to be a warrant. Without one of those two things, he just doesn't get to search you. And that's good. But what this would allow is that if you're going to, do a roadblock or whatever, or you're going into there, just to determine if that person is a member of the insurgency. Any other stuff they find is not allowed to be brought into court. And so, and yes, everything is open to abuse. But I would designate insurgencies, whether they be something like the mob, or whether they be, left wing or right wing, and then you lose those, protections that there. Now, if they're going after you, and they find that you, have some stolen property in your possession, whatever it might be, and then they try to prove that you are a member of this insurgency, and they fail, they can't then go after you for your stolen property, because, hey, it was done. It wasn't a warrant. There wasn't probable cause. They were just trying to determine if you are a member of the insurgency. So it would be just targeted, and they've got to prove that you're a member of the insurgency. So mostly this would come down to modern surveillance abilities, looking for proof that somebody's a member of an insurgency. And then we should be able to, have criminal, lock you up for being a member of an insurgent organization. And that would deal with a lot of these radical, and it can be, we always, jump, at least a lot of people think, oh, you're going after the communists. Well, yes. But we can also see if there is an organization that we deem is an insurgency, who's like a neo-Nazi organization, something on the extreme right, that is trying to overthrow the government, then you can go after them. So this isn't like somebody in their basement, or mother's basement, or whatever the proverbial thing, saying something on the internet. This is an insurgencies, organizations. And once you determine that Antifa exists, and it does exist, people. Now, it may not be and this is what, get people on the news. Oh, it's just an idea. It's anti-fascism. No. Antifa is a proper noun. It is a name. It is not, and and names are created. Oh well, Nazi. Well, yeah, but it's just an idea. It's the National Socialist Workers Organization. Well, there is sort of organization, NSDA, but but if we just go, oh yeah, it's just the words for anti-communist action. And that's what it, that's what it, what it's contracted down from, literally. And was a proper name, Antifa Action, and I'm sure I'm butchering the accent, was the communists, and they use the name deliberately, they know what it comes from, was the communist version of the brown shirts during the 1920s and early 30s in Germany. They, they were the street brawlers, and they had badges and flags. I don't know if they quite had uniforms mostly they didn't have uniforms as fancy as the SA, but they're the equivalent of the SA for the communist. So Antifa Action is an organization. It is a proper name. You could just say, well, anti-communist action? That's just a description of people. No, it's an actual organization. So Antifa in America is organized. Now, it may not be nationally, centrally organized in America. Because there is organizations like Rose City Antifa. And there very well may be funders, people who are paying organizations. They may not directly control an organization, may have no operational control or influence, like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if that police station or that ICE building gets burnt down? They may not even be suggesting. They may be doing that, but they may not be doing that. We're just, here's money to do your activities, kind of things. Oh, I hope you don't commit a crime with it using the money, or something they could even say. No, so if you're funding an organization, an Antifa organization, then all we need to be able to do is to prove that you are, and membership may be, they don't necessarily keep membership rolls and you sign your name on a list somewhere or whatever. But if you are going to meetings, attending meetings that are planning meetings, not just, oh, hey, somebody's, at the park with a bullhorn speaking about things, but you're actually attending an organizational meeting, then you're a member. And so we should be able to determine that there is an Antifa organization, it is an insurgency, and it is illegal to be a member of that organization. And then we get to lock you up. So that would be, and this is what liberal societies, including, shall we say, religious organizations that have, go, oh, religious organizations, they're beliefs. And you can talk about, and I truly do believe that religion should compete for, hearts and minds through putting their ideas out, spreading Buddhism, spreading Christianity, spreading Hinduism. But when you go and you see, whether it's individuals or organizations like a church or a mosque that is advocating for a theocracy, religious governance, that then becomes an insurgency because they're trying to replace the current government with a theocracy like in Iran. Because Iran does have a president I believe he's called the president or whatever it would be in Farsi. And they do hold elections. Now you have to be, it's not a pluralistic democracy in that multiple parties get to just, because they form, get to run candidates. No, you have to be an approved candidate. So, your choices are limited to who they approve to run for an office, whether it's a local town council or local mayor or for the president of Iran. And I don't know all the details of the Iranian government, but you have to be an approved candidate. But then there can be a competition between candidates. But ultimately, who's running the government is the current Ayatollah. There is a religious government over the civil government. It's sort of very different, but sort of like Imperial Germany. There were, under the Kaiser, two branches of government that were mutually exclusive. There was the civil government, and there was the military government, shall we say. Now, the military government day to day had no control over the cities and the countryside and the population, virtually. There was, hey, we want to build a build a defensive wall or a fortification here. Well, of course they got to, wherever, they wanted to. And if that meant taking away somebody's land or stop somebody from building something if they thought it harmed national defense. But they didn't, run the civil society. The civil government had no, authority over the military government, so the civil government couldn't negotiate a peace to World War I. It was purely the military running that show. So it was a bifurcated system, if you will. They're the military and the civil government, both under the Kaiser, yes, but and the Kaiser definitely had ultimate political control of the civil government, but basically, functionally, the civil government could topple and crash without toppling and crashing the Kaiser and just go, oh, hey, yeah, whether it's, because people elected people who are going to pursue certain policies and those policies don't work out, or, oh, hey, someone turns out to be incompetent, so does bad things. So, yeah, there was the, this is what people do forget about. They think about the Kaiser and dictatorships. No, there is the idea that government is getting so big, the actual running of the government is more than some single person can do. So you have, whether you want to call it democratic or representative, you have elections, and you do have, and that may not be entirely, again, pluralistic in that all parties, whoever could run in the office, but it was definitely under the Kaiser's Germany more pluralistic than modern day Iran, meaning there was right-wing, left-wing, and centrist political parties in existence. Just not like in Britain. You cannot be a political party that is, at least as far as I know, that openly is a Republican party in Britain, in that it's calling for the abolition of the monarchy. So they at least have, even though a bunch of the left-wing Labour people don't like the monarchy and would love to get rid of it, they can't publicly go out and say, we're going to get rid of the monarchy. They, you may sort of kind of presume that, but they can't have those as official positions. So the liberal West has been allowing insurgencies to operate freely, and insurgencies that are at their core designed to destroy Western society, not just so this is the difference. You can in America again, call for a changing of the Constitution. Right? So you can go in and, we want to change the Second Amendment. We want to, get rid of it. You can call for that. But if you call for the violent overthrow of the Constitution, which in essence would be overthrowing a government functioning under the Constitution, that is not allowed. So you cannot, you can come in and say that you want to change the Constitution, but you can't say you want to get rid of the Constitution. And you may go, well, how's there's the difference? Well, there's mechanisms within the Constitution to change. And you can go in and have a constitutional convention and change that Constitution in any way, shape, or form you want to do it. You can do that. But that's changing the Constitution. It's not overthrowing the Constitution. It's not abolishing it. It's going through the procedures within the Constitution for changing it. And you could, in essence, 100% change it. You could go in and go through the procedures and create a new Constitution that says, we're going to, it could take a while. It would take years because you have to get, even though you have a convention, you then have to get enough of the states, and it's more than 50%. I think it's 2/3 or whatever the states or whatever it is to agree. I forget exactly. Agree to it. You go and say, Barron Trump will be our absolute ruler and we'll do everything that Barron Trump says. Because it wouldn't, current Donald Trump, wouldn't live long enough to go through that constitutional way. You could start, a movement to call for a constitutional convention. And so that has to, you do the constitutional convention, you come out of the constitutional convention, the ratification processes, blah, 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 blah. And then, yes, if it goes through all those mechanisms, then you can change the Constitution to whatever the hell you feel like it. But you've got to go through those procedures. If you don't go through those procedures, it is unconstitutional, and you are pushing for or advocating, actions that are unconstitutional, and being unconstitutional is being criminal in our country. So, that allows for useful or necessary changes to government. And that's the way I think Western governments should function. They should have a constitution, even countries like monarchies, or whatever, And even if you have a dictator, because you got to remember, people, dictators was an appointed job in Rome. And often they would, for the next year, somebody's going to be a dictator. It wasn't to get rid of Roman government. It was to oh shit, we're all up on this Capitoline Hill. The rest of our city is burning, and there's barbarians running around killing anybody they can, and all the refugees, 80% of the population or something, is up on the Capitoline Hill in fortifications in Rome. Let's, elect a dictator to lead us to defeat our enemies. It's an emergency situation. Now, they might not quite wait until, the walls of Rome are breached and everything's falling apart. But it's to elect a dictator to, not debate about things. And you're trusting your representatives, if you will, to try to pick the best person that they can agree upon to handle the emergency situation. Now, that, of course, goes from, and it's over time that eventually becomes an imperial system under Augustus, who then, it becomes a might is right kind of system that for a while is hereditarily passed down, but even there, SPQR, Senatus Populus Quo Roma, or whatever, in the name of the people in the Senate of Rome, that they still keep that fiction, so they don't quite have rexes, kings, but you're being a dictator in the name of the Senate and the people of Rome. So they're keeping the fiction going that the Senate could get rid of the dictator. But even going back to Tiberius's day, well, even Augustus's day, but now Augustus comes into power because of a civil war and the assassination of Caesar. So, yeah. So yes, there are, so you could, in theory, have a government that, in a constitution says, under emergency situations, if enough of the government, elects to, it can designate a dictator for, could be a, set period of time or whatever. You don't want to ever do anything for life, but, you could give it 5 years or 5 months or whatever, you can give it for a particular amount of time to handle an emergency and whatnot. So yeah, I think because of our, air quotes here, tolerance, we are tolerating people that are trying to destroy us. Whether they're the old style Bolsheviks, and I'm thinking, around 1900 to 1920, the Russian Revolution and other Bolsheviks in other countries, or Islamic fundamentalists who want to impose and are invading Europe right now as I speak and have invaded Europe. Oh, they're not carrying AK-47s at the moment, though they seem to get a lot of them, or at least a lot of hand grenades in Sweden somehow. Such a gun control country, do they not have hand grenade control in Sweden? Yeah. So that they're having insurgencies of and invasions of people who are coming in who very much using the toleration to go, oh, well, we're going to just flood that country, and not in 4 years, but in 40 years, we'll be the majority, and then we'll use their constitution to vote in our powers that then we'll use, once we get into power, we'll then change it to we'll change their constitution to a theocracy. That's an invasion, folks. Even if it's multi-generational, long-term plan, they may or may not be doing criminal stuff, because accepting anybody's claim of refugee status, and this is what people claim to be a refugee, and you don't have the right to deny refugee status, so that they claim whether they are rightful or wrongful refugees just to come in. So you're allowing an invasion. So that will work to overthrow it. So if you continue down this path, not just Europe, but America, or Asian countries as well, you are allowing the destruction of your country. And it will be destroyed in one of two ways. Either the invaders will conquer you, or you will need to destroy your country to save it. Meaning you will no longer be able to function as a Western democracy or a Western representative government or whatever. And you will have to, probably through a coup or putsch or civil war or whatever, install some sort of government that will deal with the problem, whatever that takes. And, that's, the two, and in doing so, destroys the current thing. Now, what on the opposite end of it is going to look like? You may have a Cincinnatus who, once they do the deed, make sure that all of those people that were part of that leave government, and he leaves government and retires to the countryside and be a farmer. Well, you just live in an apartment in the city or whatever, but gets out of being governance and turns it back over to, a society that has learned its lesson, but is going back to being a liberal democracy, but not allowing in large foreigners or not allowing organizations internally to grow that want to overthrow that liberal democracy of the right or the left. So the future, is it going to be bright or grim dark? I don't know. I'm watching and seeing. And it can be bright in some countries and dark in other countries. But if you're an American, there's nobody coming to rescue you, people. We have to look out after ourselves. There's no other countries that are going to go, oh, America's fallen. It's become a fill in the blank. We're going to get together and we're going to liberate America and return it to its freedom and glory of its past. No. Nobody out there, nobody in Europe, nobody in Asia, nobody in Africa, nobody in South America is going to come and liberate the United States. There is no rescue plan for the United States. Nobody will do so, so we have to do it ourselves. Well, I want to thank M. Ryder, Jamnuska, who I know has gone already, Arno. That's all who talked to me today. We're not getting as many people talking as we might. I'm going to see about maybe playing something different. Next Saturday, probably no live stream. There's a gun show, and you might as well show up fairly early, near the beginning of the gun show on the first day. It's on a Saturday. So now, if I end up not going, it's not in my town of my secret mountain base. It's hours away, which means waking up, very early and driving. If I don't end up going to the gun show, I will do a live stream. But if I am going to go to the gun show there, and I don't want to go on like Sunday, but probably that next Sunday, the next day, we would be playing War Thunder. Oh, and War Thunder tomorrow, 10. It's a short stream. Well, it's been 2 hours. Arno. I know I started late, but we've gone past it. It's just a 2-hour stream. So, but tomorrow, War Thunder, hopefully Arno will come and play. And others are welcome to come and play. So, War Thunder tomorrow, and probably War Thunder next Sunday. That's very, very strong. Well, we can see about taking a few pictures, maybe, Arno, of the gun show. And post. Okay, and mentioning that, and if Arno wants to post on Twitch and YouTube, an invite link to our Discord server, or it is, I know, up on the it's already up on the thing on Twitch in the description there. Where I would be posting those would be most likely on the Discord server. Is it? Yeah, I know I could post photos on YouTube in the where in community posts, but most likely on Sherman time tomorrow. Maybe we could play some America. I don't know if everybody has enough to get to Sherman's. We could see. We can talk about that. So, or are you talking about the German Sherman? I know only like I have it and Toyjet has it. But, all right. Thanks, everybody. See you guys tomorrow. And just remember to like, share, subscribe. Thank you, Arno, for putting the invite to the Discord server. I do appreciate that. So if you're interested in checking that out, and I'm waiting to see if you're also going to post it. Yep, on YouTube, so it's up there. So if somebody's watching later, they can follow that there and see the pictures of the photos of deer in my literal backyard. I don't mean figuratively, like, out a bit. No, literally in my driveway and sort of between my house and my garage, there are deer in my backyard. So, no, the old USA Shermans. Yes, of course. I know that's what you meant. But yeah, so you can see some of the photos up in our nature photos of deer in my backyard.